Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, time for a little Wisdom Wednesday. Thought today I would take an opportunity as I drive into work to visit with you a little bit about several things regarding the season and the situation. How about that? So we still have COVID obviously around, and quite a bit of it. I'm getting more calls. For months and months I rarely got a call of someone who'd even been exposed, and now we are seeing folks that are testing positive. Fortunately, everybody's doing relatively well. A lot of fatigue, a lot of inability to smell and taste, and mild fevers, headaches. So far, we have been very fortunate, and I believe that the optimization of our immune system has played a role in that, as far as I know, none of our folks have had to go into the hospital or even had to be on any oxygen. So grateful for that. We do know a young man down in College Station who's fighting for his life right now, so we are all quite aware of the ravages of this disease, and pray for you, Cole, that you turn around really quickly. Anyway, as far as we face this, we've got a holiday coming up, and I wanted to just be sure that you all realize that the numbers go up the more you gather, and want you to all to continue to remain well. As such, I'm hopeful that this weather will hold up and we'll be able to have some gatherings more outside. Our family is trying to decide even now whether or not we will all gather or obviously social distance, and if the weather holds, hopefully we'll be outside and do well. But we continue to have to be mindful of both our older folks and younger folks. We have an older mom, and of course all of the folks at my age are still in that category of age concern. So we will continue to practice our social distancing and try to enjoy the family in a way that may be a little different this year. As far as how we go forward with the holidays, I'm always concerned about my patients. We've seen a lot of folks gain weight with COVID, and as we enter the holidays, this is certainly sugar season, and want to help you all and remind you all that this is sugar season and to be mindful of that. I was listening to a podcast this past week talking about salt and hypertension, and that was an interesting awareness that salt really isn't the problem as long as you are able to continue to drink enough fluids. Because what happens when we eat a lot of salt, it increases what we call the osmolality in our blood, which means increased particles, which will draw water into the blood vessels, and that will create more pressure. So when you do have things that are salty, which is perfectly fine because we need sodium, just make sure that you drink adequate amounts of water, preferably a glass of water even prior to having a meal or having something that's particularly salty that might increase the osmolality and therefore blood pressure. So for those of you that do struggle with blood pressure, just a little pearl that you can eat salt, you can have salt on foods, just make sure you hydrate well. Next, I want to talk a little bit about sugar, of course. We need to be mindful that we're entering this season with lots more desserts. There's more opportunities for alcohol, and my general preference is to try to get through the holidays without any weight gain. And as such, I try to, during the week, avoid all of those things generally anyway. But if there are going to be opportunities for either sweets and or alcohol, I make a decision. Am I going to do one or the other? And I think that that can be a very helpful way for you all to approach the season. Just make a choice. Do you want to have a drink, a glass of wine or a beverage, or do you want to have something sweet? And always, of course, just any program you've ever been on, if you're trying to control your weight, they will tell you, have something to eat before you even go. Now, in my world, because I do a lot of fasting and I do a lot of time-restricted eating, then I try to obviously just stay within those parameters and the framework there, and will generally choose not to eat if it's outside my eating windows. So that's very helpful. And I have done a lot more long-term fasting this past year, and that has made a difference as well. So you consider 24-hour, 36, 42-hour fasts if you're interested in that, and certainly people are doing much longer fasting. But for most of my patients, we really don't need to do a lot of the longer fasts because typically, fortunately, we don't have a lot of diabetes and or pre-diabetes. But if you are in those categories, that is an excellent way to try to manage yourself during the holidays. And I just want to wish you well. We'll have a little bit of a quick Wednesday next week, right prior to Thanksgiving. But in the meantime, I know we're all working on our plans and doing a little bit of work in the kitchen prior to all this. So just keep these things in mind. It's still all about long-term health and longevity. It's always nice to go out, love the turkey trot. Obviously that won't be happening, but you can go out and have a good walk and continue with that. I'm seeing a lot of folks doing a lot of walking, but I want you to maintain your muscle strength. So go and work on your muscles as well as you continue to stay healthy through this season. Wish you well, and we'll see and talk to you again next week.